Good evening and welcome. Right. I have no... Do you know what? They just test me, don't they, really, when you think about it? It says we've got 5 people here. I can't read any comments at all tonight. So 1 minute I'm running blind. I can't see myself. Well, I can see myself. I can see myself, but you couldn't see me. Or no, but I don't know what it was. And tonight, live chat. Top chat, live chat, any chat will do. Pop-up chat, I don't know what that means. Oh, what's happening here then? Pop-up chat. No idea, nothing to see here. Oh, evening, I can actually see some of it. Everything is changing. Good evening, Harry Bree, first in the house. Graham Allison, good hello to you. So if I'm looking over that way, I'm looking over that way because I can see the writing over there. Peter Pepper, good evening to you, sir. It says here, nothing to see here. We popped out. Restore chat. What the freaking hell's going on? Oh, I'm back to normal. I can actually see it. What's happening now? Good evening, Steve Pace. Right. I don't know. What do we talk about tonight? Diane Abbott? Talk about Diane Abbott, shall we? Should we talk about Diane Abbott? Or should we talk about dog training? Should we talk about subscription to the army, the military? Would you like to talk about that? Anybody signing up? Anybody willing to go off for the weekends? Jolly for the weekends? We got 10 people in here at the moment. Honestly, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Stand by your beds, yes. It's such a shame, isn't it? Because, I mean, Dad's army. I'd be brilliant. I'd be bloody brilliant, wouldn't I? Dad's army. Eh? Would you trust me with a gun? Air rifle? Shotgun? Honestly. So I had some Chinese friends down here today for the last 4 days. They've been down here enjoying the West Country. And they came in the yard and they went, how come you've got pigeons in the trees? I said, I use them for decoys. So when other pigeons come in, I shoot them and use them for dog training. Oh, bloody hell. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll get the air rifle. You can shoot the decoys if you want. They couldn't hit the decoys to save their lives. Honestly. And they said, yeah, you show us how to do it. They were standing there with an air rifle and they were holding it there. And it was getting more and more unsteady the more they tried to line up the sights to see the pigeons. So I think if we go to war with China, we're going to be safe. We're going to be all right. How's the pup getting on, Harry? Harry, come on. How's the pup getting on? That's what we want to know. We want to know, how is it getting on? Anyway, we have a few more people in here now, eventually. You've obviously been watching... what's the program you've just been watching? Britain's Got Talent. I was thinking of putting Sue on Britain's Got Talent. She can play the ukulele. Good evening, Abigail French. Steve faces in us. Oh, Tracy Dodds is here. Hello, Tracy. How are you? Graham Allison, stand by your bed. You said that earlier, didn't you? I read that one. So, I don't know what to talk about tonight. You're going to have to help me, everybody. I've come on here tonight. We've been out with our friends. And we got back just in time before they closed the roads. They're doing roadworks. And I haven't had my afternoon kip. So you have to excuse me if I'm not as sharp as I would normally be. I normally have my afternoon kip. As you're getting older, you've got to, don't you? So come on. There's got to be some questions on here tonight. There's enough people. There's 14 people in here tonight at the moment. Could we have some questions? Could we have some, test me knowledge. Come on, test me knowledge. Has anybody seen my latest video? Has anybody watched my latest video? Or are you too busy, all of you? My latest video. Anybody watched it? On Patreon. They just come in thick and fast, aren't they? That's the problem. And it's just not enough hours in the day, is it, really, when you think about it? Not yet. I knew that. I knew that. Oh, they're not watching them, so I've been chasing the pub across Essex. No, not yet. No. Well, it's a subject that I was going to talk about tonight, but if none of you's just watched it, but got 5 minutes left on it, or you've missed the best 5 minutes. You've missed the best 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down a little bit. I absolutely love people who take it on board, they send me in a video, they listen to what I say when I give feedback on the video, and they go away and they work on it, and you can see an improvement in the dog. That's the skill set that I have. If you send me in, good evening to you, Frank Casey. That's what the skills I have. If you send me in the video, if you just ask me on the phone or you type to me, it's so much more difficult than actually visually watching what you're doing. And I'm not going to mention the person's name because everyone in the group will know who I'm talking about. His name's Chris. No, that's confused people, isn't it, Chris? And what it is, he's sent in a video, a couple of videos last week. I'm the first one to give praise when praise is due, and he wants constructive feedback because he wants to get better. So he wants people in the group to give him feedback, and he's keen, and I love his keenness, I love his passion, I love the fact he's enjoying himself and he's getting success. But the care and duty for me is towards the dog. I'm a strong believer in the care and duty. It's got to be the dog comes first. And if you send me in a video, you've got to be strong enough to take some positive, constructive criticism. And the latest video he sent in, I was banging my head on my computer desk about 3/4 of the way through. Because if you're not careful, you know, when we say success breeds success, just because you get some success, it doesn't mean overdo it. If you overdo it, you will scramble the dog. You will scramble the dog's mind and confuse the dog, and the dog will start going backwards instead of forwards. And part of the video was great. You could see the owner has listened to the feedback he got, but as mad as anything, gone out there and went, right, let's get it right. And he's gone out there and he put a video together, a number of videos, and sent them to me where he was training the dog in that one session. I don't want you to overdo it with a 12-month-old puppy. I don't want you to scramble the brain of that dog. My concern is not messing your dog up, or you not messing the dog up. And just because you're obsessed, really keen, and you really want to move forward, sometimes you've got to let the dog grow up a little bit. You can't put too much pressure on a young dog, else you'll scramble the brain. Now, I had a brilliant lesson. It's all going to go up. It's all going to go up, and it's one of our members. Been going to Steve, and he was down in Cornwall, and he had a lesson with me last week, and he's had another lesson with me this week. I haven't had time to put those videos up yet. One of the things he does every time I'm talking to him and explaining to him what I want him to do, he's overloading me with questions. He is that mad to soak it up, but he's overloading me with questions because he wants as much information as possible, and I'm having to slow him down and tell him to stop thinking too far ahead and get the basics right. So everybody who comes to me, it doesn't mean I'm going to treat you all the same, because your temperament, your personality is all different. And I tend to work out when I can have a bit of a laugh with people, when I can sort of put a little bit of fun into a video, but have a point that I want to make, but make it a little bit, use humor, because humor lightens things, doesn't it? And I think that's the important thing of, softening your approach. But sometimes I think you've got to be a little bit more direct. And that's what I've just done to this video that's just gone up. I don't want to offend the member client. But I need that client to understand that he's going to ruin his dog if he continues being obsessive about the behavior of a 12-month-old dog. The dog's doing really well. It's not the dog, it's the owner. The dog is a little superstar. Get it right, he's going to have a little cracker there, and the relationship's going to be brilliant. Get it wrong, and the wheels will fall off. And then you won't know what to do, because you've literally scrambled the dog. Simple as that. I've seen it so many times. And it only comes with knowledge and experience. So the guy who's been going to Steve Pace, he's been going to me as well. He drives a Porsche. So you know what I'm talking about, people in the group, because you've seen the video from last week. And he turns up, and as we're going through the woods, I'm giving him instruction, and all of a sudden he start asking questions. I cut him short. I say, no, just do this, just do that. We'll sort that out later. Because like I explained to him, like everybody knows in the group who follows me for a long time, how many times have you come back, sit in a conservatory, and talk about the things you've done? You have your psychiatric nurse sitting at the table where you can lie on the couch and give me all the problems you've got. So we hunted this wood through, and the bloody GoPro camera battery kept going off, and so I kept getting like 30 seconds of film, and then it cuts off. And it didn't say the battery was low, it just kept cutting off. So we missed half the lesson in the woods. So I was having to switch the camera on, switch camera off, switch camera on, switch camera off to get 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. It said, and then when we got back to the car, I said, I got another battery in the car. Let's just try that. Or was it the camera playing out? We put another battery in it, and we went off and did some more, and it was working perfect. So you're going to see some of it, but you're not going to see all of it. So we went up through the woods, and I can honestly tell you, I was slightly like worried that the little dog was going to pull him all over the woods like crazy. And the little dog, little cocker, got his head down and hunted the woods out. Beautiful. And he was, as soon as he put the dog in the woods, he was flapping. He was panicking. He was asking me, what do I do? Is that good enough? And it was funny. It was really funny. If we'd caught it on video, it was hilarious, because the little dog was an absolute star. So Steve, that dog needs to go out now and find a few birds. So he's coming back to you next week or next month. You need to go out, and if you can just get a bit of scent under the dog's nose, and then, because he said to me, yeah, but he chased deer before. Well, you've got to put the dog in the situation to go wrong to put it right, don't you? We know that, don't we, Steve? But I'm telling you, the little dog flowed in front of him with its head down. Yes, it was pulling a little bit at places, and we just showed him how to tidy it up with turning the dog on the whistle and standing still, waiting for the dog to cover the ground properly, not letting the dog go off doing its own thing, but hunt in front of me. And I was really, really impressed with the little dog. But he kept asking me non-stop questions, and I kept thinking, just do as I'm asking. You'll watch it on the video, if the video was working, and you'll learn by watching the video back time and time again when you get home, because you can get overload, and you can overload me, and you can only overload me because I'm trying to concentrate on what you're doing, and you're asking me unirrelevant questions at certain points. Well, hang on, you're not even ready for that stage yet. We need to get this right first. We need to get that right. So I break it down and keep it simple. And that's one of our things, isn't it? We keep it simple. So as we come out of the wood and we're walking down the road, and he's been giving me absolutely loads of asking questions, I said to him, okay, just stop for a second. Stop for a second. I said, look down that road. Look down that road. If you were going to send your dog down there 150 yards, what would you do? He said, I'd line it up. All right, okay. What would you do once you've sent it down there 150 yards? I'd say the dog's running a straight line because he's been watching our videos. I said, no. Stop 150 yards. Oh, yeah, at the junction. I says, yeah. I says, but it actually tells you on that sign. Look, it says, stop 150 yards. He said, you bloody bugger. You bloody bugger. I'm a fool. It said it on the sign. 150 yards, stop. And it's a junction. So you'd want to stop the dog at the junction, wouldn't you, if you're going to send your dog down the middle of the road? And it was a track that we do send the dogs down because it's not used that often by cars coming up the track. But it's so funny on the video. His face was so funny. He was thinking in his brain as fast as he could. What could it be? What do I need to do? What don't get this wrong. I want to answer the question. And I think the reason I did it is I think people can overload themselves and become flustered with trying to think too hard. And that's why it's so important to have it in small bite sizes and keep it simple. And keep it simple for the dog as much as keep it simple for the owner. And then if the owner can portray it to the dog. So when he went in the woods to begin with, I couldn't believe how well the little dog hunted. I thought the dog was going to pull him all over the place. And the little dog hunted beautiful, but he was flapping. He was flapping because he wasn't sure whether he was doing right. But I have to see what you're doing before I can start giving you tuition. I have to see where you're going wrong and why the dog is doing what it's doing. As he's going up through the woods, I'm thinking, I wish this freaking camera was working, because Steve would be like, wow, that little dog could hunt. That dog is loving it. Yes, it did push the boundaries on the odd occasion, but we showed him what to do. And the importance of standing still and waiting for the dog to come back and work the cover, instead of racing ahead with the dog, trying to keep up with it. You're not going to keep up with a dog that's chasing a bird, that's on a line chasing a bird. So what you've got to do is you've got to get that dog to turn on that whistle, on that double pip. And that dog's got to turn on that double pip. And if someone's never showed you that, then that doesn't make, you're not a bad person. You haven't got intelligence. It's because no one showed you. Or if someone showed you in a wrong way, that's what you pick up, isn't it? So is there anything there? Just watched it. Got 5 minutes. Oh, that's nice. Evening. I had some good evening. When he first started to come for lessons, I had to do the same with him and try to keep him focused on the basics. Yeah, you did right, Steve. But what a lovely chap. What a lovely chap. And I think that's the wonderful thing, that I'm so lucky to have so many people from completely different backgrounds, and how diverse people are and how different they are. You know, it's like, I said to him, he said to me, can we stop off at Tesco's and do the cash point again like we did last week, so I can give you some money? And it's so funny because I said, freaking hell, you're just like King Charles. You're just like Prince Charles, aren't you? He's never got no freaking money. He has to go to a cash point when he comes. One doesn't carry money. It depends where one comes from. I said, the thing is, you've even got your manservant to take you to freaking Tesco's. I'm a dog trainer. I'm not going to take you to Tesco's and sit outside a cash machine where you get me cash. Because one doesn't normally give cash. One normally sends the butler. He is so funny. But I take the mickey. And I don't take the mickey in a nasty way. I take the mickey because he's got such a dry sense of humor. and such a friendly chap as well. And I mean, not funny, because I've worked on these estates, I know when one is happy and I know when one is not. Don't have Tracy Dodds. Hey, one does one know where a cash point is? Yes, I do know where one is. I will take you there now. Or can I send my butler? And I just love his. I love his. I love his. He's so different, Steve, isn't he? And that's the nice thing about people when they come to you. You can come from all different walks of backgrounds. Whether you live in a council house or whether you own your own estate, you know, escort estate or Volvo estate, Ovlov. I just love the diversity of the different people who come here. We get people from all backgrounds, and we treat them exactly the same. We take the piss out of everybody, except Sue. She doesn't want me taking the piss out of her. Yeah, so there you go. So I don't know. That's 20 minutes gone. What else can we talk about? What you like company? What companies you got, Steve? Oh, you like his company? I thought you meant he knew what company he ran. He's a nice fella. He is, isn't he? He's a nice fella, and he enjoys what he's doing as well. And he's enjoying learning. He's enjoying the videos, and that's important. I said to him, "Are you a member of Corleone Talk? How do I get on Corleone Talk? Well, you have to be on Facebook. Oh no, I'm not on Facebook, but my wife is. Oh, okay, I'm not worried about that. It's a fantastic experience. I was telling someone today about it. About what, Trace? About what? What fantastic experience? About what? But the whole point of it is, I don't like to be personal with people, but I like to give a service, and I like people to enjoy. I want them to go away and go, I thoroughly enjoyed that, but it was educational as well. I thoroughly enjoyed the banter we had. There's no airs and graces. Oh, thank you, Trish, when you came down to see me. Thank you so much. And it was very enjoyable seeing you as well, Trace. Where, some people, they put me in a dark room. Some people, they give me a headache and put me in a dark room, but it's the ones that don't want to listen, who don't want to. But there's no way that who I'm talking about is just overly keen. He just really wants the information, and the information you can overload. So you have to break it down in simple stages and get those simple stages right. Like Steve said, you have to break it down into simple stages. Get the simple things right. Then you can put the advanced in there. Then you can start. I tell you. This is the way I looked at it, and I said this to him. I said, listen, when I wanted to sail across the Atlantic, right, wanted to go across the Bay of Biscay, at the end of the day, single-handed, at the end of the day, I didn't panic and ask too many questions because I might not have gone. What I did is I read a couple of books about single-handed sailing and thought, do it. They've done it. And I read that someone came across the Atlantic in a bathtub. And I thought, if they can come across the Atlantic in a fucking bathtub, then I'm sure I can go across the Bay of Biscay. But I don't want to kill myself, so I need to learn the basics. So I learned the basics. But it's the same as what we call, you've got all your electronics on a boat, your navigation and all that. And that's great. But what happens if the battery dies? What happens if you can't start the engine? You should be able to dead reckon. And so years ago, you used to have charts, loads and loads of charts on your galley table, on your chart table, and you used to be able to plot a course and the wind and the tide, and you work out. It's called dead reckoning, and you'd work out the speed you're going, the way the tides are going, and the way the winds are going. So if you were going to cross to America, and you were 5 degrees off, you could end up in Canada. But if you're just going across to the Channel Islands, and you're 5 degrees off, you could see the island 10 miles off course. But you've got to be careful when you're going around the Channel Islands because the tides run very fast around the Channel Islands. If you're in a sailing boat, and your sailing boat will only do, because of the placement speed of the boat, will only do sort of 7-8 knots flat out with an engine, and that's that's fighting a tide 7 knots. Well, the tides can run around there at 15 knots, so you could be around the island backwards. So you've got to be sensible. You've got some knowledge, but I wouldn't say that you need to be a yacht skipper to be able to take a boat out. And at the end of the day, you learn by your mistakes, but you don't want to learn by a drastic mistake. But I've never been one for, if someone bombarded me with the real skill that you need, like a class in a classroom, my brain would just freeze and close down, as simple as that, because I'm dyslexic. So the way I like to teach is I like to teach in a simple format. But it doesn't mean that if you keep asking me questions, I can't answer them questions, or I've got to go away and work those questions out. They're not relevant at the time. I want you to learn the basics. And so I don't mean to be rude, but I'll dismiss you and say, hang on, listen, let's do this. I'm quite direct. And I think that's important as well. You have to have the confidence to be able to say to someone, hang on, don't try and run before you can walk. You can ask me as many questions as you like when we sit in the conservatory and have a coffee. Now, he won't sit in the conservatory with me, Steve, and have a coffee. And most people do. But if I gave him all the information he was asking, he'd get totally scrambled. As simple as that. And I think that's the wonderful thing about being a professional dog trainer. It's so easy to try and impress people that you know everything. I am similar and can get overloaded with info. However, I am keen, and I believe it depends on how much the client and the dog can take in the lesson. It is the art of the trainer to read both dog and human. Good one. Good one. Absolutely fantastic. And it is it's like, I can ride a bike. I can ride a motorbike. It doesn't mean I can get onto a racetrack and ride it the same as somebody who's been riding around a racetrack. And it all depends on the person, exactly like Joe says. That's going to be confusing. Abigail. Joe says, because that's not Abigail talking to us. That's Joe. That's another one who's under the thumb. He can't be having his own Facebook name. He's got to run under his Mrs. pseudonym. Yeah, you didn't know that, did you? You learn something on here every day, don't you? And at the end of the day, I totally understand, but I know that I could overload most people who come to me with knowledge and understanding, and they wouldn't soak it enough in. That you've just got to give it in a basic format, and then they'll get the basic format right, and they'll come back for more because they're hungry. And you want them hungry because you want success, because success breeds success. When people get success, they'll come back for more. But just because you've had some success and the trainer said, really, I mean, that was a lovely video, wasn't it, about the deaf dog? That was a beautiful video from Chris with the deaf dog and the way he's used the e-collar as a pager. I mean, absolutely lovely video. And there's been some lovely comments from you guys on that. And I think that's lovely, isn't it? And for all these arsewipes who want to ban the e-collar, what about these deaf dogs? Can't have any freedom of life. They can't have any quality of life because they want to ban the e-collar. That dog wasn't scared of the e-collar at all. It was like a pager, wasn't it? That's all it was, like a pager. And at the end of the day, I'm the first person to say thank you for sharing the video. Brilliant, lovely to watch. I'm the first person, and if you don't give praise to people, you shouldn't be giving criticism. And when I say criticism, constructive criticism, because I want you to get better. I want you to improve. I want you not to mess your dog up. And that is so important. I've seen so many dogs over the years messed up because people have listened to fools, or they've become obsessed with it to the point that they're not giving the dog a mental break. The dogs are like children. You can only flood them with so much. Some can cope with it, some can't cope with it. Same as exactly what Joe said. That's Abigail Fincher's partner. He said, like, it says it there. However, I am keen to believe it depends on how much the client and the dog can take in a lesson. So I would like him down here where I could beat the shite out of him and see how much he can take in one lesson. Because that's exactly what you could do if you're a trainer and someone comes to you and they're putting too much pressure on the dog. You could put pressure on them and say, you don't like it, do you? Not in a nasty way, but to actually show them that's overload. Yeah, it's Joe. Look, yeah, that's what he says. Deep voice, look. Yeah, it's Joe. It's not Abigail, it's Joe. Really good, that one. Yeah, he's talking about the e-collar, using the e-collar as a communicator for a deaf dog, giving the dog a quality of life. So the dog didn't get put down. The dog had its limitations, but the dog would come back. The dog would listen, could get the dog's attention, could stop the dog, all because it paired it with the e-collar vibrate. There you go. But technically, it's a pager. And we could share that with the World Wide Web, couldn't we? We could share that with the World Wide Web. But guess what? You'll still have people going, that's barbaric, that's cruel. Shouldn't be using it on a deaf dog, because they haven't got a freaking clue. They haven't got a clue. They haven't got an open mind, have they? And that's what it comes down to. People with closed minds don't learn. You have to have an open mind. You have to look at the bigger picture. So that thing I shared on with Einstein, Facebook contacted me and they said he didn't actually say that. How do they know? How do they freaking know? And what it was, Michael Bishop replied. What it was, it says, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand well enough. Well, do you not agree with that, guys and girls? If you can explain dog training as simple, it doesn't mean you don't know what you're talking about. It means make it simple for people to understand. Do you agree or not agree? I'm waiting. There is 17 in here. Do you agree or not agree? Anyway, so Facebook sent me a thing saying Albert Einstein never said this. He didn't say what. Did he say you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough, Albert Einstein? Or did he not say dog trainers take note? It's not enough to know the science. You must also understand it in its simple application. There you go. That's why I put that picture up. I'm far deeper than people think, aren't I, when you think about it? Hey? One doesn't mess around, does they? Especially when they've been hanging around with the right people. Oh, no. I'm telling you, smoke your kipper if you want. Keep things simple, helps people learn quicker. Exactly, Steve. Dog trainers take note. Yeah. Why complicate things? Dog trainers take note. It's not enough to know the science. We must also understand its simplest application. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. And don't we see this on the internet? Totally agree with that. That's what you're good at, making things understandable. That's it, Michael. Yeah. And this is what we see, isn't it? How many people do we see talking shite, waffling, and actually when you put a video up, it's like, freaking, they haven't got a clue. They haven't got a clue. So if you're going to be a successful internet dog trainer, you've got to be able to put videos up. You've got to be able to break those videos down when people send them to you. You've got to be able to do voiceover. You've got to know how to work the internet. You've got to know how to edit. You've got to know how to read a dog, how to read the client. You've got to see the problem, spot the problem. And that might be because I'm dyslexic that I break it down in such a simple format. And I keep it simple. But could I complicate it? Yes, I could complicate it. I could, especially with someone who's just started, you could overload them the way that they are overloading the dog with the wrong commands at the wrong time. It's the simple things that make it so much easier and make it flow so much better. And that's what simplicity is. When you watch, it's like I've taken engines out of cars before, but I've never read a manual. But I've used the manual if I get stuck to try and find out why I've gone wrong. But at the end of the day, if I watch somebody do something, I'm a visual person. And some people are more visual and some people are more academic. And so they would perhaps be able to read a book and break it down better in a book. But I don't know if I've ever come across a book that can explain it as good as visual. When you watch somebody who's good at what they do, they make it look easy. They make the video they show you working their dog, they just make it easy. They just make it look easy. You don't need to overcomplicate it. It means they understand the simplicity of it. And that's what I've said all along. I don't think dog training is difficult. I think people training is the real skill set. We have some people who come to us who can train a dog to a very nice standard, but they lack confidence in themselves. Well, it's my job to draw that out of them and go, no, take a look. Look what you're doing. You're doing a brilliant job. You're far better than you actually think you are. And on the odd occasion, I've got to say to some people with sort of powerful jobs, important positions, where they're normally barking orders, mainly police officers, hang on, if I was your dog, you're boring me. You're not friendly with the dog. Can't you be a little bit more friendly with it? I'd switch off if I was your dog. You're barking orders at the dog like you're barking at a human. It's not a human, it's a dog. Treat it like a dog. And then people take a while to like you. And the reason they struggle to like you, I'm not used to being told what to do. I'm the one giving out orders. And the problem is they become more regimental then in their own thought pattern because of the way they are in general. And yet I've had some girls come to me with dogs and they've really got a good rapport with the dog, but they're not mollycoddling the dog, but the relationship with the dog is far better than a lot of blokes. But a lot of blokes haven't got that sense and sensibility. Sense and sensibility, eh? They're going to say, oh, we thought he was a sexist bastard. Now he's saying that women have got sense and sensibility. Yes. Wilson Stevens. Or was it, who was that, Sue? Who wrote Sense and Sensibility, Sue? Daphne Moray? No? Come on, Sue. Of course it's Jane Austen, darling. I was just checking. I'm just bloody checking. Jane Austen. Honestly. Anyway, has anybody seen the Durrells? Has anybody seen the Durrells on this series of the Durrells on Netflix? It's probably been on other programs as well, but it's on Netflix. Anybody ever seen it? Come on. There must be someone on here, 15 people. Have you seen it? Anybody? I'll just talk to me fucking self in the corner, shall I? Honestly, no, we're all the dogs. We're only here because of dogs. Nope, says Steve. I didn't think you would, Steve. I didn't think it'd be your cup of tea. No freaking chance. Nope, says Peter Piper. You wouldn't freaking understand it being Scottish. Come on. Anyway, it's about this family. Her husband dies. She got loads of kids. She does know. You need to watch it, Trace. Honestly, it's lovely. And they moved to Corfu. Crete. Sorry, my fault. Crete, not Corfu. Crete. And it's just before the Second War, so it's going back in time. And it's absolutely fantastic series. And I'll tell you why it's a fantastic series, because I didn't have a very happy childhood. And I think your environment plays a massive part. Although I had a large family, it wasn't a very connected family. It was disjointed and all went off in different directions. And like I said before, parents went bankrupt and I stayed in Derby at 16 and didn't have any family around me and all that. Anyway, so what I'm saying, it's disjointed. It wasn't a loving family. You'd be seeing your family and popping in and see your brothers and sisters and all that. Everything just went completely. But this is such a wonderful story about a family who are crazy, who do crazy things, but they love each other. They stick together. And I saw something on the internet today, and someone said, I know we haven't got our best of times together, but you've got loads of friends. I'm not going to say who it was, and we love you dearly. And to his parents, and I thought, isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? How many of you have got wonderful parents that you can say they're the salt of the earth, they do anything for us, and I do anything for them? You are so lucky. You are so lucky. You don't realize how lucky you are. There's people out there who've not had parents, the parents have left, and all this sort of stuff. So, and I'm not saying everyone's going to feel sorry for themselves, but what I'm saying is a compact, loving family that are all there for each other. You only have to pick up the phone, and they'd be there. I think that's really underrated in some ways, because people just have that, and other people really appreciate it. And I think, and then there's other people missed out. And I think to myself, that's exactly the same as me and my friendship with my dogs. My friendship with my dog over the years has just been unbelievably fantastic. I've disciplined all of them. All of them. I've disciplined every dog I've ever had that's mine. And I've disciplined most customers' dogs. But at the right time, and with the understanding and the timing and understanding the level of discipline, I've mastered it to an art. And I can get the best out of the dog through gameplay, but also discipline at the right time. So what I'm saying is, I have been so gifted, lucky to have had so many wonderful, wonderful dogs. And I looked at Wiz in the kennel the other day, and he was in the yard. I called him, he couldn't hear me. I had to go and rattle the cage. And then he visually saw me, followed me through, and he just into a routine of what he does, and he sleeps a lot. And I shared a picture that come up on my Facebook memory thing, and I shared it, and there were so many nice comments, and people who'd had pups from him, and people who'd watched him for the last 10 years, showing himself off and how good he was. Sorry, somebody sent me a message. It's about impact dog crates. I'm not interested. And I look at him and I feel so sorry for him. I just feel that his life, our dog's life, is so short, and that's what I put up on Facebook. I couldn't believe how many people put up pictures of their own dogs and said, I know exactly the feeling and all that. And there was so much nice feedback. And I only put it up because I looked at him in that picture and I remembered him at his best on the shoot. And I have that memory, and I will never forget that memory. But it's just not that memory of Wiz. It's the memory of all the dogs I've had. I've been so lucky. Now, Sue said something like, yeah, say the average dog lives to 10, 11, 12 years. You might only have 4 dogs in your lifetime. Some people do, don't they? But I've been lucky because I've had 3 or 4 dogs out in the kennel of my own all at the same time. And at one point, I think 3 or 4 field trial winners. 3, I think, at one point. And I sold one, and then one again with another one a month later. So I had 4 in the kennel at one time. And that's the whole point. Those memories, no one can take those memories away from you. No one can take those memories. And someone said something in that Facebook page. People don't realize how much work and how much dedication and time we put into those dogs, and the commitment we put in to train them to the level that we got them. And some of you guys and girls will know this because you're training to that standard. And then you've got those wonderful memories forever about the achievement of getting that dog working as a team with you, achieving success, going out and enjoying it. Those dogs, when you put your boots on and you grab your dog lead and they know it's a shoot day, the ones that are staying behind are like, why aren't you freaking taking me? Why aren't you taking me? I want to go with you. And it's the same as if I walk past my dog kennels. All my dogs jump up and they want to be stroked. They all come to the gate. They don't go to the back of the box and cower. Not one. And it's so important to me that the relationship that I've got in there, the memories that I've got in there with my dogs, I would not be passing on my knowledge and my understanding to you people if I had dogs that cowered from me when they saw me, ran to the back of the box, not wanting to come out. Now, we have the odd dog here in the past when we were training other people's dogs, that they take time to settle in. They take time to come out of themselves. But I can guarantee you, those dogs that went back to them owners, they were as if they were different dogs, the ones that weren't sure of themselves, because I build confidence in dogs. And I build confidence in dogs because the dogs enjoy what they do because of the simplicity and how simple I make it for them to understand. A dog does not have the capacity the same as a human. So why would you think the dog can think on the same level? And yet people do, don't they? People actually think the dog can think on the same level as the human. If you went out in your car and left your dog in your house, and you got killed in your car, that dog would not pine for you because you didn't come back in the way that people think it would. Now, you hear about Great Bob, is it Bobby? Great Friars Bobby. There's a statue of him. He went and lied on his owner's grave when the owner died. I can guarantee if I never went out to them kennels again, those dogs would jump up and down for Sue within 5 minutes. But when Sue goes out there, they don't jump up and down, all of them. A couple of them do because they want attention, but some of them just go, it's not Chris. He's the one I'm waiting for. But I guarantee if I didn't come back for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because I've gone to the big graveyard in the sky, if you believe that, I guarantee they'd soon gel with Sue because she'd be the one feeding them. She'd be the one letting them out. And that's exactly what dogs are like. Dogs will move on to the next person, no problem at all. And all these stories here about people saying, I rescued a dog. I rescued a dog. Or did you? You went into a burning building and brought the dog out, did you? You climbed over the balcony because you heard the dog crying, it's got no food, and you rescued it. No, you didn't. You rehomed it. You rehomed it. And the one thing, going back to those photos, is I enjoyed taking photos of my dogs. And I really enjoy looking back at the memories. Memories mean as much to me now. And it's just all in there, isn't it? Years and years and years of working with wonderful dogs on wonderful shoots up and down the country, running in competition, being successful, gaining a massive following on the internet because of negativity. One person's negativity and the shit they stirred created me to go on the internet and go, I'll show you what I am. Like me or not like me, you'll see the real Chris Upton. And the amount of people give me feedback now going, you changed my life. You changed my way of thinking. You gave me a quality of life. Now, I don't train now my dogs to the standard that I used to. There's no need because I'm never going to put them in competition. I'm never going to put them under extreme pressure. These are the dogs I'm having. I'm then taking a break. I'm not having any more dogs because I'm concentrating on teaching people and helping people. But plus, then I can go away teaching and not worrying that I've got to be dragging dogs all around the country with me. So I thin dogs out because they reach the stage in your age, in your life where you've got to think to yourself, well, I've been doing it for so long. Do I carry on or do I take a different direction? I'm really getting the bug to want to finish my book. I know you're all going to go, oh, you've talked about this book for 20 years. But I'm really getting the bug that I want to sit down and do my book and release it. Because it's another bow to your armory, isn't it? To what you've achieved, what you've done. And if that book can become as popular as the videos I've put up, I'll be absolutely over the moon. Especially being dyslexic. And I watched I listened to somebody the other week on a live podcast or something, and they said, have you done a book? And they said, yes, I did, but I stopped it because the publishers wanted to sodomize it, wanted to break it down and rip it to pieces. And the book meant everything to me, but they have to get down into get it like a proofwriter. And that's exactly what happened to me when it was all sent to the proofwriter. This proofwriter tried to thin it down. I don't think it was off the book, thinned down. I understand you've got to check the spelling, put the grammar in there and all that, but I don't believe that if you're writing something and you're writing an in-depth book on giving people knowledge, wisdom and understanding and an insight out how you got there, I don't think that you need somebody who is academically good to rip the shit out of it. And that's what I have been fighting against. That's what I've been fighting against, because nobody can put up videos like someone with knowledge and understanding, as well as editing skills and the format to be able to do it. Without the format, do you imagine what it was? Imagine what it used to be like before we had the internet. Can you imagine how difficult it was? Can you imagine what it was like when you could only go to the cinema? Who remembers going to the cinema? You didn't have TV, or you had black and white TV. You didn't have the internet. You didn't have your mobile phones. I bet the kids of today would look at us now and think you frigging cavemen. You just heathens with all the stuff they've got. The access we've got now is unbelievable. Now, it's got its plus points, it's got its negative points, but I think to myself, we are going through an era of unbelievable times, aren't we? That we've got access to talk to each other from all over the world, and people listen to me from all over the world. People contact me from all over the world, and I think some people actually think that I'm there to answer every message that they send me. And I watched this the other day on a live feed, and they said, listen, my site has taken off like crazy, and people send me 20-30-minute essays in letters of thanks so much for doing what you're doing, and then ask me, yeah, but what can I do with it? How do I change that? How do I do that? How do I do that? I can't answer all of them. You cannot answer all of them. The more popular you become, the less you can answer. And that's why it's so important to me is to look after my members in Patreon, because it's a never-ending job sitting there and reading 50 emails every day, sometimes 100 every day when you get up. And so I've got to look after the people who follow me and support me. And I love that. I love that because it's a family. It's a big group of people who all get on well, and it's fantastic. And we all help each other. And I think that's great. And that's what I think, I'm going to sit in my little rocking chair. I would have sat there with a freaking pipe if they said, no, don't freaking smoke. They stopped that. They freaking stopped my joy, sitting there with a nice pipe, rocking on my chair with my last few years in life, thinking, I've had a wonderful life and had some wonderful people around me, and wonderful people from all aspects of life coming to me for knowledge and understanding from all over the world, but up and down the country, from Scotland to Wales to Ireland, and lucky enough around the world. I've been on seminars and I've taught. I've been lucky enough to go through all that. It's great when you're young. It's great when you've got lots of energy. But as you get older, the quality things in life mean more. Simple little things. Watching the smile on Joe's face when he tells us about his story. Watching Tracy when she won a competition. Other people in the group, watching their face when they start to achieve success and the dog's listening to them. Adam swearing like a freaking trooper to his dogs. Proud as punch. He loves the shit out of them, really, And I mean, isn't it lucky that dogs can't understand some freaking language that Adam talks to them? That trigger could get triggered, couldn't he? He could get bloody triggered, that trigger, couldn't he? If he heard him out of Adam's mouth. What did he say the other day? Look at that freaking dick. Look at him go. I thought he wanted a dickhead that could run hard and fast. But I love his sense of humour. I love his dry sense of humour. We're all different, and we're all different. And the amount of people that I actually get on with would amaze these freaking skeptics, these freaking idiots out there who go, he's not everyone's fucking cup of tea, but hang on, you don't know me. You don't know my life. You only see part of it. You don't see, you see the true Chris Upton, but you don't see how many people send me compliments, because I'd be forever putting up freaking compliments. I put up the stuff to say, look, the guy's taking the time to write that. That's what's nice. If you treat people right, you give people information, you help people out, you put the videos up, you get good feedback. He wants good feedback. But I don't go out of my way to pull the wool over people's eyes and sell them a line that I know that sells, but it's not reality. And that's the difference. And that's exactly what I want our trainers to do. I want them to be open. And like Casey, frank. Casey, frank. I want them to be frank. I want them to be frank and say it the way it is. And if it offends, it offends. But unfortunately, the truth sometimes hurts. But at the end of the day, I don't want people to go out of their way to offend people, intentionally to cause a sensation. I want people to give constructive criticism and have the balls to do that when somebody is getting it wrong. And that's how you learn. You don't learn by someone shouting at you or running you down all the time, because praise, like with the dogs, with humans like fun. Humans like praise. But unfortunately, in life, everything's not always fun, is it? Sometimes you learn by your mistakes. You learn by someone picking you up for your mistakes. And that's what this is all about. This group is about helping each other understand and helping each other help other people. And if what I've achieved up now on the internet, it outweighs all the negativity that I've had to deal with by tenfold, because of the positive feedback, the positive comments, the people who have seen a difference with their dogs. And that's what the group's about. Do you agree? That is what the group is about. It's about success. It's about creating success for other people. And that's what it's about. So we've got 3 minutes left. Has anybody got any comments of what I've said? Could anybody tell me if you think I'm just talking shite or gone too deep? Do you think I've gone too deep tonight? Nothing, sir. They've all gone to bed. They've all left the auditorium. So on that note, right, okay, you've all gone. You're not there. No one's typing. We can't type. We're on what's Steve on about? There's a lot of what? Good summary. Thank you, Graham. There's a lot of. I'm waiting. 58 minutes. There's a lot of. Anyway, on that note, obviously not listening. You've obviously gone to bed. Is Simon Cowell still on freaking television or something? Is something else happening on the channel? Is a football on or something? So let's ask you a question, because you obviously not want to answer my question.
There is a lot of positivity in the group.
All right, lovely, Steve. What I'd like to ask you is Diane Abbott. I want to ask about Diane Abbott. Do you think that Diane Abbott has lost the plot? I don't care if you're going to vote Labour, Conservative. Do you think that Diane Abbott lost the plot? Do you think she should be on the funny farm? Do you think I don't think the racist crap people send her and all that is acceptable in my own eyes. I don't think that people should do that. But do you think, listening to Diane Abbott talk lately, she's on a different planet? See, I don't think no one's in here tonight, see? Nothing's happening. Honestly, you'll have to write it in the comments, anybody. If any, are we running slow here tonight, Sue? Okay, we got 59 minutes and 44 seconds. We could give a prize for 100 quid for the first person to give me an answer. Oh, look at that. All MPs have lost the plot and are definitely not in the real world. Yeah, Michael Gold's not in the real world. He's left it, hasn't he? He's left it. The more you listen to this party politics about who's going to be next, she never had a plot to lose. Oh, Nigel, you're in the house. I never knew you were in the house. Good evening, Nigel. Yeah, the more I listen to her, and I think I agree with Steve, the more I listen to this campaigning for who wants to run the government, freaking all bunch of freaking nutters, aren't they? Do you know what we're going to end up with? We're going to end up with the Green Party. People are just going to put a no vote in and put the Green Party. Just imagine what it would be like with the Green Party. Oh, we come up with these wonderful ideas because you never thought we'd get in, and all of a sudden we're in there. What do we do now? They have to freaking reverse them, wouldn't they? Vote reform. MW82. Who the frick is MW82? Perhaps he's missed the freaking B on the front. BMW. What, Nigel Farage? Well, he's not even freaking standing, is he? Honestly. Imagine everybody voted for the Monster Raven Loony. Oh, he didn't get in, did he? The Monster Raven Loony Party. Freaking that'd be right, wouldn't it, with him? Anyway, on that note, good night all. I mean, it's been very, very quiet tonight with the people talking. Michael Welsh laugh out. Oh, right. Sorry, Michael. There you go. You threw me there, didn't you? I thought you were going to say Raquel Welsh then. Crown selection competition. Oh, thanks so much, Graham, for that information you gave me about the planning out the back. I see that in it is a great big green hedge. It's gonna put in a Cornish hedge, green hedge, Cornish hedge. I'm freaking sure they're gonna freaking do that. Totally, absolutely agree. Everyone wants to help and support each other and want the best for everyone. I'm bloody slow to reply. Listen, Trace, I know you've only got one finger typing.
MW82, I commented
on your whiz picture a couple of days ago. Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Michael Welsh. Thank you. So on that note, Chris Upton and Susie Two Shoes, who didn't say very much in the background tonight, I think it was slowly sweet. Oh, we went to. Oh no, I won't tell you where we went today. Been swigging on the wine. Catch you later. Chris Upton and Susie Two Shoes signing off. Good night all. Thanks for joining in.